If you want to start an Airbnb business, chances are you've got a few questions about what to expect and how to even start. In today's video, we're going to give you 5 tips you must follow as a beginner if you want to launch your own Airbnb business.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Hey guys, if this is your first time here, I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we're real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in Airbnbs. And we're here to show you how to do the same.
So there's been a lot of talk about the quote unquote Airbnb collapse and how you shouldn't even think about starting an Airbnb business right now. But here's the truth. There are a lot of people who came into this game during the Airbnb gold rush that's happened over the last couple of years, and they didn't do the right due diligence. They didn't set up their systems and their operations correctly. And ultimately, they didn't come into it with the right understanding of the type of work that goes into turning this into a successful Airbnb business. They thought they could just grab any property, not care about design, not care about photos, slap it up, make a ton of money. And while that was true before, the game has changed.
So if you've been hearing all of the negative talk and decide that you do still want to start your own Airbnb business, this video is for you.
Now, just like every industry, there are highs and lows, good deals and bad deals, good times and bad times, strong business owners and weak business owners.
You just really need to go into this knowing that in order for it to truly be successful, it needs to be treated like a real business, not like an easy side hustle that will just survive on autopilot.
So in this video, we're going to give you 5 tips you need to know as a beginner before you launch your own Airbnb business.
So the very first thing that you need to figure out is what strategy is right for you. There are several ways to run an Airbnb business, so let's quickly break down what these are.
Strategy number 1 is owning. So this is exactly what it sounds like. You buy a property and you turn that property into an Airbnb or vacation rental. This has been really our go-to strategy because for us, we felt that there was benefit in looking at the long game, right? So aside from the cash flow itself, owning is the only strategy that gives you equity over the long term, which is a major plus. It also gives you crazy tax advantages, right? Cost segregation, bonus depreciation. Even with those pluses, this strategy does require probably the most capital upfront to get started.
So if you don't have that, these 2 other strategies might be better. So strategy number 2 is rental arbitrage. Arbitrage is where you sublease. So you lock in a lease yourself and then rent it out from there to people on Airbnb. So there's no equity whatsoever. This is literally just for cash flow. And you still will need some type of cash upfront because you typically lock in a lease with some sort of deposit, first and last month's rent, and you're gonna have to furnish the property, right?
And number 3 is co-hosting. Co-hosting is where you're pretty much serving as a property manager for another owner. So you can either take a listing that's already active on Airbnb and take over the management, or you can approach an owner that has a long-term rental and convince that person to turn it into an Airbnb instead, and then allow you to manage it for them.
This is, in our opinion, probably the fastest and cheapest strategy since you don't have to put any of your own money into the property, but probably the smallest cash flow compared to owning an arbitrage, don't you think?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it depends on what kind of properties you're managing. And if you're doing like a luxury management where your property's doing like $200K a year, possibly could do more, you know, but it all depends, right? The point here of showing you these 3 strategies is pick which one helps you achieve your goals the fastest and which one kind of aligns with the resources you currently have available.
But like we've mentioned, owning has been our focus from the very beginning, and we have really been able to do that by partnering with other investors. So it is very possible to still scale by owning. We're the perfect example of that. But since it has been so great, the market has been so crazy and shifted so much, rates are crazy high, it has made things a little bit more difficult to find the right deals that make sense to keep buying. So we are actually expanding our own strategies now and recently just locked in our first 3 arbitrage units, and we're so excited about that. And we're actually starting a co-hosting business. So we are now transitioning from owning to arbitrage and co-hosting.
But the important thing is, like, obviously choose the strategy that makes sense for your situation, for your skill set. Lean into one strategy first, get really good at that strategy, and then expand and scale to the other strategies. Because once you've built that foundation, like for us, we built a really strong foundation in owning. So operationally, we know we know everything about the operational component. So for us, it's really not hard to just tack on 3 arbitrage units or tack on 10 or 15 co-hosting units because the operations and the foundation is there.
Okay, the next major thing that you need to figure out is the location. So think about what kind of property you want to run and what is your ideal travel avatar. So is it a family-friendly beachfront cottage, or is it a large 6-bedroom bachelorette type house? Also really fun in my brain. Or is it a quaint 2-person cabin in the mountains? Or even just like a cute and simple small unit for the traveling working professional? What speaks to you?
Once you've done your own due diligence and you narrow down your buy box, before you do anything else at all, look into the regulations for that market. If you do all of the work to find the perfect property, but you miss this very, very important step of confirming whether or not Airbnbs are even allowed in that city, then you just wasted a ton of time.
Total waste of time. So identify what type of property it is that you want, what location makes sense for that type of property, then go straight to figuring out if it's even allowed there before you do a ton of work on analyzing the deals in that market, like Tony just said.
Now, a super easy way to identify the regulations in a city is just like go online, right? A simple Google search of city name plus Airbnb regulations or Airbnb permits will usually give you the answer.
And if for whatever reason you can't find that information online, which is very possible, just call the county directly and ask them about what their short-term rental regulations look like.
And if you really want to get crazy with it, say you can't call or for whatever reason you can't get in touch, can't find it online.
Also possible.
Yeah, some counties and cities are like that where they might not get back to you. Take it one step further and just show up in person. We've done this a few times. We literally flew to Dallas, Texas recently. So we're in California in SoCal, and we had locked in these arbitrage units that we were talking about. And it was the exact same week that Dallas was like passing this short-term rental ban pretty much. I mean, we need to get answers ASAP, otherwise we lose that deal. So a quick flight, we walked to City Hall and got some answers that made us feel comfortable about what to do next. So just be sure to do whatever is needed to find out if short-term rentals, if Airbnbs are permitted in that area, what steps you need to take to get your license and obtain that license so you can successfully run your Airbnb without any issues. Now, last thing I'll say on the policies piece, we've said this same thing to many of our students, many of the folks that we come into contact with. When you're looking at a city to purchase a property specifically, you want to make sure that the local economy is economically dependent on the revenue generated by short-term rental. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Make sure that the local economy is dependent on the revenue generated by short-term rentals. New York just passed a pretty sweeping Airbnb ban where the majority of those listings are now illegal. And New York City could do that because there's so much economic activity in New York. Who cares about Airbnbs? They're gonna be fine. But if you go to some of these smaller, true just vacation destinations, they need that revenue. They need that rental income. They need the people that Airbnb pulls in. So if you're buying a property, focus on that. If you're doing something like co-hosting or arbitrage, it's fine if you don't really follow that rule, because if you're in Dallas and the short-term rental regulations change, you've only got at least the last 6 months, maybe 12 months, you can walk away with that without hurting yourself too badly. But a 30-year mortgage, you wanna make sure you're protected.
But before we keep going, we want to share with you guys that we've officially launched our very own Airbnb coaching program that we're so excited about. It is called Alpha Host Academy.
And when you join Alpha Host, you'll get a mix of content, on-demand content, of community, of group coaching, of one-on-one coaching, of our deal analyzer service. Our goal in putting this program together was to help you launch your first Airbnb in the next 90 days. And everything about this program is designed to make that happen for you. So if you're interested, book a totally free discovery call by heading over to alphahostacademy.com, and someone from our team will walk you through the program.
And the next step is setting up your systems and processes in the most efficient way possible from the very beginning. You can 1000% run your Airbnb business from across the country or literally anywhere in the world, really, as long as you set it up correctly and have a really good boots on the ground team that can be your eyes and ears at all times.
We've done this quite literally from all over the country, all over the world. Whether we've been in Mexico, we've been in Italy, New York, like all over. And we're still able to run our business just with having cell phone and internet.
Right, and a good team.
And a good team.
So as far as your team goes, all you really need is a really great cleaner and a super reliable and trustworthy handyman. So you might need to fire a few before you find the one. And that's totally okay. That happened to us, and we're still even searching for the one in one of our markets. But do not stop. Do not feel bad to fire and let those people go until you really lock in that elite duo of amazing cleaner and amazing handyman.
And then aside from your cleaner and your handyman, you need to set up certain software to run your Airbnb like a true business. Now, there are tons of different software options available for Airbnb hosts, so it can be a little bit daunting to try and figure out which ones you actually need and which ones you don't need. And, trying to test out all of them can get a little bit expensive. So we'll keep it short and real with you guys on the ones that you truly need to launch and which ones we personally use. So tool number one is a dynamic pricing tool. Now, having a dynamic pricing tool is a non-negotiable, and it'll really help you maximize the revenue from your Airbnb. We personally use Price Labs as our tool, and this tool basically helps you set your prices and rates automatically instead of having to manually do it every day or just having one flat rate for the week and one flat rate for the weekend. The easiest way to describe a dynamic pricing tool is to think about something like airline tickets. You can check the same exact flight on 2 different days, on 2 different hours, and you might see different pricing depending on what's happened in that time frame. And the dynamic pricing tools for Airbnb kind of works the same way.
And number 2 is a property management software, or a PMS for short. We personally use Hospitable. So this is a channel manager where you can connect your Airbnb profile, your Vrbo profile, and your direct booking website all together and just work off of one calendar and one app to communicate across all of your guests and all of your booking platforms. So super, super important, super useful for efficiency.
And number 3 is having your banking set up correctly. Now, I know this might not be the sexiest thing, and this probably gets overlooked by a lot of small business
100%,
owners.
yeah.
At least until tax season. Then it becomes everything that you think about. But we're one of those people, or at least I was one of those people since I handle all the finances. But fortunately for you guys, we've tried several different business banks, and we finally landed on one that allows you to really manage your cash flow and set your business bank accounts up successfully. So you're welcome. You don't have to open a million different accounts with a million different banks to find the one that works.
We literally did that. It took us a while. Tony was going crazy. I was getting annoyed trying all these different bank accounts, but this man has figured it out for all of us.
So we use Relay, and we highly, highly, highly recommend using them as well. Now, how you set up your bank accounts is super important to stay organized, to manage your cash flow, and to really run your short-term rental like a business. Now, we won't go into deep detail here because we've got a separate video that we'll link to in the description that breaks down the 5 business bank accounts you need for your Airbnb business, so make sure you watch that.
Great video. Highly recommend you guys watch that. And totally separate, but really fun note, Relay is actually hosting a huge contest right now that you guys should really think about entering, especially if you're going to open a bank account anyways with them. So it's called the Reasons to Be Profitable contest, and they are literally, you guys, awarding $100,000 in cash prizes to entrepreneurs, including a grand prize of $50,000. That's mind-blowing to me that that's part of the contest.
And Mike Michalowicz, who is the author of Profit First, which is a framework that we use to set up our business bank, will be one of the judges for that contest. Now, one of the requirements to be in the running for that $50,000 grand prize is that you need to have an account open with Relay if you don't have one already. So set it up, and it's a win-win. Yes. You get the new business bank account, and you get entered into this $50K grand prize.
And also, one thing I think is really cool about this contest is that it's not often that business owners talk about their profitability, right? So this contest is a really great way for all of us to share our story and an opportunity to win some big money. So we're literally entering ourselves. You never know, girl. We can win this money.
So take 15, 30 minutes out of your day, make sure you enter. Look, guys, even if you only come in 3rd place, it's still a $10,000 cash prize. And if you get 2nd place, it's a $15,000 cash prize. And obviously 1st place is that $50,000 cash prize. So that could quite literally fund your Airbnb.
Totally.
So take the chance. All right. Now, back to the point of this video. Like we said, having a dynamic pricing tool like Price Labs, a property management software like Hospitable, and a good business bank like Relay is really all you need to start your Airbnb business and set it up successfully from the beginning.
The next thing you need to know if you're wanting to start your own Airbnb business is that you are running a customer service-based business. You are literally running your own mini hotel, essentially. So you are going to be the front desk, the concierge, the valet, the manager, all wrapped up in one. We already briefly talked about it, but having a great property management software tool is essential to efficiently communicating with your guests. So you can set up autoresponders and just use one platform to communicate with all of your guests across all booking platforms. So there are ways to really set up your systems and processes to make this as hands-off as possible. But at the same time, we really just want to point out the fact that this is truly a customer service business, and either you will be on at all times or need to hire somebody like a VA to be on at all times, just like a hotel is, right?
So whether it's a holiday or you're at your kid's soccer game on a Saturday, or maybe you're at your day job on a Monday morning, there's a good chance that something might come up and guests will need your attention.
100% something will come up, especially if you're on vacation or it's a holiday. Something always comes up, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like literally the worst times.
And honestly, I think this is what a lot of investors miss when they rushed in during this Airbnb
100%.
gold rush over the last couple of years, is that short-term rental guests are, like, by definition, needier than a long-term rental tenant. So just be prepared to step into a customer service business, step into a hospitality business, knowing that this might be a little bit more hands-on than you think. Now, this is still totally doable from afar, and even less hands-on as you build out your team, but we're not sharing this to discourage you guys. So don't be discouraged. Sarah and I almost never talk to guests now,
right?
Because we've built out that infrastructure of our team to, handle pretty much everything. We don't order supplies.
No.
We don't.
It's very hands-off at this point. But even for us, I think when we first started, we're like, oh, we do have to talk to these people quite a bit, especially when you scale, but I think that is a huge misconception that a lot of these investors, over the last couple of years went into not understanding is how much of a hospitality industry this really is.
Yeah, the last time we had to call a guest was a few weeks ago. I think sometime last month. If you follow us on social, you might have saw this, but someone literally broke into one of our properties, like in between the turns, and we had to call that guest and let them like, hey, it's not safe for you to be there. Like, we need to move you somewhere else. We didn't trust the VAs to handle that conversation.
Maybe like once a quarter, we talk to our guests.
Not even. It's probably been like, I don't know, almost a year since we
Yeah. So it is possible, but just know you need to set up all of these right systems and process to be able to get to the point that me and Tony are talking to people once a year.
Now, guys, before we keep moving, we would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell for notifications. My wife here is 40 weeks and 1 day pregnant.
Yeah, my due date was literally yesterday, you guys, and we're here recording freaking content like psychos to help you guys.
So every new subscriber does mean a lot to us. So give my wife some love for being a trooper and hit that little bell. All right, share this video with someone who might need to see it. Second, we've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. Head over to the realestaterobinsons.com/calculator and you will get a totally free download for the Airbnb analysis tool that we use in our own business to analyze deals.
All right, and the final thing that you need to know before starting your very own Airbnb business is that there is a lot more competition now compared to a few years ago.
So guys, it's absolutely crucial for you to study your competition once you've identified the city that you want to invest into. So you want to see, like, what are the top performing properties in that market, and how can you maybe implement a piece of what makes that property successful and put it into your own property and hopefully try to even improve upon that.
So design and amenities are the two key factors here that you really should be focusing on. These are the best and really the easiest ways to stand out from the crowd.
Now, don't be afraid to look at other markets as well and see what maybe the top performing properties in those cities offer as far as design and amenities go. And just ask yourself, like, does it make sense to maybe bring some of those elements into your own property, into this new city, because no one else is doing it yet?
So for instance, we did that in Joshua Tree. Game rooms weren't really a thing. They still aren't, I don't feel like, but we know how huge it is in Tennessee. So we're like, you know what? Why don't we take that same concept of a game room and bring it into one of our Joshua Tree properties? And it wasn't just like a basic game room. It's actually a really cute, fun, family-friendly, eye-catching game room. And since implementing this new feature, the property quickly went from being our worst performing property in this market to being one of the best. So just a reminder to do your homework and really study your competition and really nail the design and amenities.
And just a quick tip, if you aren't great at design, I'm not good at design. If I wasn't married to Sarah, I probably wouldn't be as successful as I am in this Airbnb stuff. But if you're not good, just hire someone to do it for you, okay? There are tons of designers out there. If you guys want a recommendation, our in-house designer is Brianna Michelle.
She's the best.
Yeah, she's a host herself, right? She has her own short-term rental, but she exclusively focuses on short-term rental clients.
Yeah.
So head over to therealestaterobinsons.com if you want a little bit of help designing your own Airbnb.
But that's a huge tip. Don't take that lightly. I think people overlook how important the design and amenity features are, and just skipping through the BS of you trying to figure it out and going all wrong. Just go straight to hiring a professional. I promise that investment is going to be worthwhile.
Now, last thing we'll say on the design and amenities piece is definitely use your competition in your market as inspiration, but try not to copy verbatim.
Sure.
I can't tell you how many times we've seen like something that's like exactly from our properties and tons of other properties. Now, part of that's because we share everything on this channel, so we get that, but you're also not doing yourself a favor when you're like commoditizing your design and just ripping stuff off. So just use inspiration and then try and use that to do something cool in your own property.
Inspo, not copy, you know?
So if you've been thinking about investing in Airbnbs, but you've been feeling a little bit hesitant because of the Airbnb bust headlines, or maybe you saw that tweet that went viral a few weeks ago, or maybe you saw Dave Ramsey talking about Airbnbs, just know there are plenty of cities all across the country that are still performing well. And as long as you do your due diligence, go into this with the right kind of intention of running it like a true hospitality business, and you set everything up successfully from the beginning, you have a really good shot of being successful as an Airbnb host.
So we hope this video was the hype you needed, and we're looking forward to go against all the naysayers and really start your own Airbnb business, because we are living, breathing proof that you can turn your Airbnb into a full-blown business. So don't listen to those haters out there. You can do this. You got this.
Now, last thing, guys, if you want us to work with you side by side launching your first Airbnb, head over to alphahostacademy.com. We had 2 students last night, not 1 but 2, who launched their first listings, and with hours of going live, we're getting their first bookings, and we want you to be that next success story. So alphahostacademy.com. We will see you guys there. That's it for today, guys. I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are
the Real Estate Robinsons.